Greetings, everyone. It's great to be learning with you again. Thanks so much for joining us. The presentation today is entitled The Temple 2, and we'll follow up on an earlier presentation with the temple. We will experience again the awe-inspiring concept of the temple and how to become a master in the holy temple, the body, and a worker in the divine laboratory or laboratorium, the cosmos. We'll explore the Rosicrucian laws and principles applied by the temple through three special examples, which I'll discuss soon after our meditation. To get ready, we'll view an inspiring depiction of a temple that will assist us to rise up into the cosmic in our meditation period to prepare us for the work and worship of the Rosicrucian order and our presentation on the temple today. Here, now you'll be seeing the inspired painting by the Rosicrucian artist Nuka Mendes Gomez, entitled The Temple of Man, also known by the name Know Thyself. We'll apply the booklet Liber 777, which I'll give you a reference to in the chat later, towards the end of the presentation. You notice at the bottom of the work are the symbolic number 777 that alludes to the booklet Liber 777, but also to our ascent to the heights of the celestial sanctum that we're about to do. You notice that it depicts the holy temple, that is our body, and its subtle structure with the rib cage and the nervous system and various spiritual centers in the body. The Rosicrucians work with the psychic centers and the caduceus, and there's the wings for the dove descending, and it's rising up into a central point associated with the pineal gland in Western traditions of psychic centers, but also it's on a cathedral-like structure or temple in the built environment, and it also takes in the cosmos. So we see the temple in a variety of forms of the temple of God, the cosmos, the temple of our body, the holy temple, but also the built temple structure on earth that we all work with. Lower down, we see flames of the trials and tribulations of our life to be transformed into unspeakable joy as we rise up into the cosmic and as we mature and grow, which is at the heart of mysticism. Mysticism is the path of the full maturation of the human being, the art and science of love, the becoming one with the one, the full identity with the divine, so we become truly ourselves and complete our mission in life. There's a tremendous wealth of symbolism in this painting. I invite you to look at it a while longer as we prepare to ascend to the heights of the celestial sanctum. Oops. And when you're ready, close your eyes. And take a few deep neutral breaths, neither holding the inhalation nor holding the exhalation. And just enjoy the pattern of the breaths, the wisdom of the holy temple, our body. Our breathing in and out is a vibration. It helps attune us with vibrations throughout the cosmos, spoken of by the Rosicrucians as the cosmic keyboard, the vast sea of vibrations of all frequencies, amplitudes, and wavelengths in the cosmos. We take them in with our 5 physical senses, but also through our psychic senses as well, that correspond with the 5 physical senses, and through other faculties that we learn about in our weekly studies in the Rosicrucian order and work. Just continue to enjoy the gentle rhythm of the breath, a surprisingly simple act, but a profound one. And you may wish to extend your exhalation to stimulate the vagus nerve, a wonderful and long nerve in the body that runs from the base of the brain to below the gut. When it's stimulated, it activates the relaxation response, which in turn allows healing to take place within us. Healing in the sense of making whole and the harmonious actions of all our nature, physical and non-physical, working harmoniously. Now let us begin our ascent to the heights of the celestial sanctum, as pictured in the painting by Nicomedes Gomez, The Temple of Man, or Know Thyself. For truly, by this action, we will know ourselves more fully. I invite you to say with me now a prayer and an invocation. May the divine essence of the cosmic infuse my being and cleanse me of all impurities of mind and body, that I may enter the celestial sanctum and attune in pureness and in worthiness. So mote it be. Now use your imagination and your psychic capacity to rise up from the room where you're situated in your home. Look down on your home now, rising up more quickly, see your neighborhood below you. Enjoy the exhilaration of the ascent. See down below you the town or city where you dwell, the geographic area. See the system and order there of the streets, various designs, manifestation of the microcosm, the macrocosm on earth in city planning. And as we rise up, radiate love and well-being down to all those sentient beings below, all persons and creatures, connected through the one soul. And let us rise up higher again and see the weather systems and the great sunlight above the clouds and the beauty of the landscape below, whether it be a seascape or a lake shore or hills or a desert or mountains, whatever's applicable to your setting. And take in now the entire province or state where you live. Enjoy the beauty of the ascent. Use great inner spiritual force to rise up, not straining the outer nature, but just applying the infinite resources of the divine within us. And as we rise up higher and higher, we'll go deeper and deeper within ourselves by the law of correspondence, as above, so below. And as you rise up faster and faster, take in the country where you dwell, the great nation. And see again the great weather systems, and now the curvature of the earth as you rise up and take in the continent where you dwell. And now the hemisphere, either the north or south, applicable to your area. And see as we rise up faster and faster, the beautiful blue jewel of the earth, the oblate spheroid, sphere-like object, spinning around on its axis, the north and south poles. We see the great oceans and seas, the various continents where we dwell, the great weather systems, the spectacular handiwork of the Creator. And now look up and see the great work, the Creator, our solar system, the great fiery ball of the sun, the huge planet of Jupiter, the wondrous planet Saturn with its rings, and the smaller planets such as Venus, Mars, and Mercury. See how they revolve about the sun in elliptical orbits, calculated by and discovered by the traditional Rosicrucian Sir Isaac Newton. Just as the earth revolves about an axis, so our earth revolves about the sun, and our moon revolves about our planet, as the other moons for some other planets. The great revolving action in the universe, interlinking its structure. Now let us look up beyond the solar system and see other stars and rise up faster, way beyond the speed of light, transcending space and time now, not limited by the restrictions, physical space or time. Zoom past various stellar phenomena like quasars, pulsars, binary stars, red giants, black holes balancing the universe, nebulae, interstellar gases, Sense what the ancients described as the harmony of the spheres, the great music of the cosmos. Sense things now not only through your 5 physical senses, but the full range of psychic senses and faculties you have to take in all vibrations. The wondrous music of the cosmos that inspired artists on earth try to imitate in their art and music. The more inspired they are, the more they can bring it and reflect it to us on earth. But now you experience it directly. As we rise up faster and faster, start to sense our great home, the Milky Way galaxy, the spiraling galaxy. Sense how we're one of the great arms of the Milky Way galaxy, but now let's rise up even faster past myriad stars and nebulae and pass right out of the Milky Way galaxy at tremendous speed, accelerating our acceleration, and look back at the Milky Way galaxy and see its wonderful spiraling structure, just as it revolves like our planets do around the sun, and our Earth around the sun. And while we're on the surface of the earth, around the great axis of the earth, we see our Milky Way galaxy spiraling. And let us look up and see other galaxies and the myriad other stars and nebulae traveling faster and faster as we start to sense the larger and larger structure of the cosmos, great ordered and dynamic universe. Sense now not only individual galaxies, but clusters of galaxies, also revolving about an axis, but there's many, many clusters of galaxies in the universe. As we go faster and faster, we sense what's referred to as superclusters of galaxies, myriad superclusters that make up the great large-scale structure of the cosmos. See the many clusters in our supercluster that we're associated with, but now also the many superclusters of the galaxies, along with the myriad stars and galaxies and clusters of galaxies. See this stupendous harmony and order as they revolve in their respective ways. Sense even more the great harmony of the spheres, the divine music. Just as the cosmos is the temple of the divine, it is filled with the temples or the divine cosmos's music. Sense the wondrous colors and vibrations of it all, the great handiwork of the Creator, the divine, that we work to mirror and emulate on earth to remind us of this great structure and our deepest nature within ourselves, the master within, the divine within, connected to the universal intelligence, which is back of the cosmic. As you rise up faster and faster, sense now the great revolving action of the cosmos itself, about a great cosmic axis spoken of by mystics and philosophers since ancient times. Sense the inspiring, exhilarating action and system and order that we work to bring into our own lives as we grow in greater attunement with the cosmic, which is the universal intelligence back of the cosmos, and all natural and spiritual laws that we work to understand so we can fulfill our mission in life, increase our capacity for service, and have the deepest sense of meaning and understanding that is our birthright, at one with the one in the cosmic sense, the consciousness of the cosmic. As we rise up faster and faster, zoom in towards the very midpoint or center of the cosmic axis. And when you get close to it, slow up there and just dwell and look around you at the inspiring structure of the cosmos and the great harmony and order of it all. And as instructed by the Rosicrucian Order Amorc booklet, Liber 777, let us visualize now our celestial sanctum at the center of the cosmos, at the center of our being. You may wish to pick some inspiring place in nature that you remember back on Earth, or just the great view around you now. But you may wish to choose a sacred grove of trees, be standing by a seashore, sensing the waves coming in, reminding us of the cosmic keyboard and the great sea of vibrations around us, the great underlying unity of it all. or maybe a meadow or a high vantage point from a high hill or a mountain. The high vantage point suggests to our outer nature, the deeper, expansive nature of the master within. You're working as a co-partner with. Or you may wish to picture a built form such as a Sikh Gurdwara or a Buddhist prayer hall or stupa, or a Christian cathedral or church, or a Jewish synagogue, or some other inspiring built sacred structure or temple on earth. Fill in all the sights and sounds, make it real, make it vital. As you do it, feel the exhilaration of being at the heights of the celestial sanctum, just as we felt exhilaration and rising up in the cosmic through the great range of octaves on the cosmic keyboard. You may wish to picture there and sense the presence of other seekers and other Rosicrucians and those on this conference call today. And the Imperator, Chief Executive Officer of our order, and other executive officers, it's the Grand Masters conducting a special ritual, the heights of the celestial sanctum. See the symbolism of this location. You may wish to fill it in with beautiful diagrams and stained glass windows depicting the laws of life. Just continue to fill in your inspiring celestial sanctum image. And as you do it, feel a deeper and deeper sense of well-being and exhilaration, and feel the life force in the body increasingly tingling in your holy temple. Feel the healing that takes place as we attune ourselves with the cosmic. And once you've filled in your celestial sanctum, just continue to surrender and let go, and let the divine within declare itself, our true nature, that we're ever seeking to increasingly know His presence in our daily life, just as water soaks up in a sponge. Let us dwell now in deep silence, feeling the increasing presence of the divine within, our true guide in nature. If you find your mind wandering, just lovingly and gently bring it back to the gentle rhythm of the breath, attuning you with the cosmic at the heights of the celestial sanctum, the deep, still center of your being. Just feel whatever there is to feel. Meditation is a profound act of non-avoidance. Whatever may arise, note it and return back to the deep, still center, gentle rhythm of the breath. Use this time as a mini retreat to be rejuvenated, repaired, and strengthened and soothed. Just let go of the cares of the day, who you are and where you are. We'll come back from this meditation recharged, all the more able to work with all our faculties in an integrated way to resolve and handle whatever we need to do for service and to fulfill our duties in life. One step closer in self-mastery. Just continue to enjoy the exhilaration of the cosmic, this deep, still center. Now we've applied the law of cosmic attunement, the particular application of the law of attunement. Let's continue to do that, but also apply the law of service. Let us join now in the work of the Silent Council in conjunction with the Council of Solace, the Grand Lodge, the Rosicrucian Order Amorc. Let us radiate love and well-being to all those who've petitioned our Grand Lodge for health and guidance in their lives. And all those who may petitioned to the body of the Rosicrucian Order you may attend. And all those you know who are in need. And all those who are in need throughout the cosmos. Let us radiate love and well-being to them like a great floodlight from our being, radiating out to them. But first use great inner spiritual force like we use to rise up to the heights of the celestial sanctum. Just let it flow out from you. First, it will require conscious effort, but enjoy the exhilaration of the flow. By the law of karma or the law of cause and effect, it'll heal us as well, even without intending. For as we've given, so shall we receive. Just let the love and well-being continue to flow like a great floodlight out from you to all those in need throughout the cosmos. At a certain point, I think you'll find that you will no longer need to make any conscious effort for the great flow and radiation to occur. When that's the case, just dwell, deep silence. At a certain point too, I think you may find the flow increase in speed and you'll know you're reaching those in need and who are receptive. Just let it flow as we dwell this deep, still center of our being, the center of the cosmos. If you find your mind wandering, just lovingly and gently bring it back to the gentle rhythm of the breath, radiating the love and well-being in the center of your being, in the deep stillness of the cosmic. Soon we'll formally conclude this period of the work of the Silent Council, but we'll continue our meditation. We'll formally conclude this period of sending metaphysical aid or love and well-being to all those in need by saying, if it pleases the cosmic, it is done. Assured that the radiation will continue from us as a way of life continually throughout our day. It's part of fulfilling our mission in life. Now let us continue to dwell in the deep, still center, the center of our being. Let's be increasingly aware of the consciousness of the cosmic. So we radiate love and well-being out throughout the cosmos. So outward bound, We can think of our mind becoming one with the cosmic mind, assuming the cosmic mind, experiencing as the cosmic mind experiences. Soon we'll begin our descent from the heights of the celestial sanctum. This place of the celestial sanctum is always with us, in the deep center of our being. As we grow and mature, outer nature learns how to work with the cosmic and express it and emulate it and be increasingly absorbed in it. In all that we say and do, in love and service. Now, before we descend from the heights of the celestial sanctum, we wish to say a prayer of gratitude to all those who have assisted you, all those who have guided you, all those who love and have loved you. The law of gratitude increases our attunement with the cosmic. Now let us begin our descent from the heights of the celestial sanctum, moving at tremendous speed by the superclusters of galaxies, in stupendous harmony and order, all the stars and stellar phenomena and nebulae, black holes balancing the cosmos. We see the many superclusters of the galaxy revolving about the great cosmic axis. And let us zoom into this supercluster that is our home and see the many clusters of galaxies within it. Let's continue to pass the myriad stars and the great system and order and beauty of it all. The harmony of the spheres, the great music of the cosmos. And see the particular cluster that we live in. The many, and come into it and see the many galaxies around our galaxy. And in the far distance, see the Milky Way galaxy, its great spiraling action. And home in on the great arm, the Milky Way galaxy that is our home. And once in it, past again many stars, nebulae. See way in the distance our star, the sun, and the solar system. And come back into the solar system, to the beautiful blue jewel of the earth, the hemisphere you dwell, the continent you dwell. The great country or nation, the city or state. When you see the city or geographic area where you dwell in your province or state, closer to the city or geographic area, and say with me, may the God of my heart sanctify this attunement of self with the celestial sanctum. So mote it be. And now let us continue to ascend back to our neighborhood, our home, the room where we left off, back into the seat or however we're situated. And when you're ready, you may wish to stretch and open your eyes, sensing how you've been remade, rejuvenated, and reintegrated. Thank you. Now in our presentation, The Temple 2, review briefly the concept of the temple. The temple can be viewed as a type of microcosm and macrocosm. The microcosm mirrors the macrocosm, just as we refer in the Rosicrucian tradition to our body as the holy temple, as shown on the left here. It's the body that is the temple of the master within, the divine within. In the middle, we see a built sacred space. It's a sacred meeting place, such as here, the Grand Temple of our Grand Lodge in San Jose, California. On the right, see Cat-Paw's nebula, suggestive of the entire cosmos, the divine laboratory, the temple of God. These different laboratoriums or microcosms mirror each other. The middle one is sometimes referred to as a mesocosm because it mediates between the microcosm that we are with the macrocosm, the entirety of creation. Now, the temple also partakes of a divine archetype, such as the celestial sanctum or the heavenly city, that gives rise to the microcosm, the mesocosm, the macrocosm. Each of these microcosm, mesocosm are forms of the temple. The temple, by its name derived from the Greek, means temenos, this sacred demarcated precinct. It's also associated, as Dr. H. Spencer Lewis mentioned in the Rosicrucian manuals, with the Roman word tempus, to mean time, where the great cycles of creation take place, and the cycles of the sun over the four directions. Typically, temples are orientated in their built form for the four directions. So we see a great interlocking structure of the cosmos through this principle of the microcosm mirroring the macrocosm, but also through the temple, all the way from the human body to the built temple to the temple of the cosmos, all coming forward from a divine archetype. Some traditions refer to as the heavenly city, others celestial sanctum, and more. Now let us continue with considering three special applications of the temple and these laws and principles. The first we're going to look at is the Midewewin Midewigun, or lodge. Now the Midewewin are a group of healers, an initiatic order within the Anishinaabe, as part of the Ojibwe peoples. And the Anishinaabe live in various parts of Turtle Island or North America, including Wisconsin and Minnesota and Ontario. Here we see depicted before us in a drawing of the Midewewin Lodge. The Midewewin order is often referred to and thought of the derivation of its word Midewewin as the good-hearted ones. And their lodge here, they'll vary in length from about 60 feet to 140 feet. You'll see the initiate here in the left. And typically often being 20 to 30 feet high, often with saplings bent over, as I'll show you shortly. I should say 20 to 30 feet wide and 12 feet high, sometimes with saplings curving over. You'll notice in the four directions, in the very low court here, there are actually purification lodges. Again, the lodge has oriented itself as a structure that's been given by the creator to the initiates, the Midewewin. Here's another picture of their lodge as we move in side to it. Here there's a presence of the sacred stone that is only initiates under circumstances are to come close to. Here there's various degree initiations take place. To prepare for those initiations, there's the purification lodge, is on side of the Midewewin, or its lodge. I know many of you have undertaken the purification in various ways, including when we ascended the heights of celestial sanctum, we purified ourselves to be able to ascend in attune with the cosmic. The candidate would be prepared through various means. They would have a sponsor that would begin to teach them in the way of the Midewewin. They hold, they're these good-hearted ones, that every plant and tree has a special sign and teaching to us, and a property for healing in an act of service for others. You'll notice here a diagram by Basil Johnson, who was a member of this order and worked for many years at the Royal Ontario Museum in Toronto, Canada. And he wrote a beautiful book to do with Ojibwe heritage, another book, Ojibwe ceremonies. I'll give you a reference for one of them, which this is from. Here he depicts for us a schematic diagram for the first degree of the Midewewin. You notice the purification lodge towards the left. There's inside, there's a tree of life, we know as mystics in various ways, and also a center point of great cosmic axis, and a fire with all its powerful meaning and symbolism of transformation, orientated in the four directions in the east and west entrances. The candidate would have to prepare themselves with their sponsor and be first decided to be worthy to get to this point. And after purification, they would enter the lodge, and there would be a symbolic death and rebirth to growing into a new way of life, passing from a state of sleep into increased awakeness to become moved towards being a shaman, a mystic, and a great healer. Basil Johnson makes reference to 4 degrees, and the configuration of the diagram changes with those different degrees. If the person's found worthy, similar to the initiatic process we undertake as students of the Rosicrucian order and work. You notice here a depiction of the purification lodge that's in the lower left and also the upper left there, but also an earlier diagram from the 20th century of a Midewewin lodge. You notice the saplings have been bent over in its long structure that the sacred diagram matches. This is one of the special temples of Turtle Island, or North America, that we're considering today. There's many other sacred structures of First Nations people in Ojibwe and Anishinaabe. I'll give you a reference for that. Part of this process was also the vision quest, particularly for a person who was going into the adult years, that they would spend 3 to 7 days often in the wilderness, sometimes in a high lookout place such as the Hallowed Rock in northern Ontario, where the person would get guidance for the rest of their life and a sense of their mission. And the Midewewin initiations would help with that divine process that we're all part of. Each culture at the back of it has its deep wisdom and understanding and knows the way of reintegration and rebirth. And it behooves us as First Nations people are doing to come into our full sense of well-being in this incarnation, to know our language and its meaning, and to know our spiritual traditions. The Rosicrucian traditions help us greatly to do just that, by giving us the tools and methods of attuning with the cosmic and visualizing, have that highly meaningful life and that sense of mission and accomplishment and service to others. These are all part of the good-hearted ones of the Midewewin's tradition. And there's been a great rebirth of their work, particularly over the past quarter century, to the great well-being and healing to the Anishinaabe people, all those of the order, and its effect to all those who are seekers and needing healing on earth. Here we see a picture of Tom Chisel. He's from the Lac Seul First Nation in northwestern Ontario. You'll see behind him a lodge, and above a picture of a full lodge from the 20th century. And you'll see this sacred stones that are placed there. He's been important in reviving the tradition of Midewewin, the deep sense of meaning and purpose for the healing of his peoples, just as we're called in our own way to a spiritual and mystical life. So we see this among all people's wisdom traditions. And as we have a deeper sense of meaning and purpose, we can sense and notice it in others. For as the traditional Rosicrucian and Martinist Louis Claude de Saint Martin said, to the effect that mystics come from but one land and speak one language. Now I'd like to show you a special temple for the Rosicrucians. It's interesting, we spoke of the Anishinaabe traditions. And I remember once an Anishinaabe person speaking, he talked about a prophecy among the Anishinaabe and Ojibwe. And part of it mentioned that there would be people coming from the east. And if they came with a cross, there would be great trials and struggles and disharmony and ignorance to overcome. But ultimately, there would be great triumph and harmony. But if they came with a cross inside a circle, that is an equilateral cross with a circle around it, there would be great harmony and well-being and sharing of wisdom and mutual understanding. Now, who came from the east with such a symbol? Strikingly, the early Rosicrucians at a tabernacle in the forest. They came with a group, Magister Johann Kelpius, who lived from 1667 to 1708, with a specially selected group of Rosicrucians and workers, chosen for their different strengths and background and professions, in the crafts and in gardening and the sciences. It was something, Johann Kelpius was from Germany, but they were workers from various parts of Europe. They're following the secret underlying meaning or special teaching of the Rosicrucians. Part of it was revealed in a partly veiled way in Sir Francis Bacon, a traditional imperator of our order, in the New Atlantis, a great group of workers that would come to a new land, in ways symbolic of Rosicrucians and the lodges, but also this trip to form and lay the foundation stone, Turtle Island, North America. Many things are related by the traditional Rosicrucian, who's a descendant of these early workers in now what is Philadelphia and Fairmount Park. Julius Friedrich Sachse. He wrote a book entitled The German Pietists of Provincial Pennsylvania, 1694 to 1708, which I'll give you a reference for. It's quite beautiful and befitting. If you've ever read H. Spencer Lewis, a past imperator of our order's book on the history of the order, he dedicates that book to Julius Friedrich Sachse. You notice here we have a picture from Sachse's book. And in it, you'll see rising above the woods is the tabernacle in the forest, their tabernacle in the Wissahickon. And at the top of it is this very symbol of the Rosicrucians, the circle with the cross inside. There's a variety of meanings to this, which I'll mention some: the circle with eternity, the infinite plane, the unendingness, this unendingness, the cross with the four directions, and also the various four elements, the four seasons, and various profound symbolism associated with the solidity of the earth. It's a complete symbol, you could sense, because it harmonizes both our inner and outer natures. Here too, we see an artist Nick Stamp's depiction of what this tabernacle, the Wissahickon, this early Rosicrucian temple dating from the late 17th century, early 18th century could have looked like, with one of what was referred to as the hermiter of the Wissahickon. You'll see on top the cross with a circle around it, but we'll also notice other very important things, such as there's a observatory at the top, an early observatory on our continent introduced by Europeans. There's other observatories even earlier, associated with indigenous peoples, but here with this telescope. There is various scientific works that were underway. We know that the Europeans' earliest botanical garden was due to here on the Wissahickon, associated with the work of these early Rosicrucians. We find here, again, pulling together these various aspects of these workers of the Rosicrucian order in an earlier cycle. Their temple, which was 40 foot square with all the symbolism of the 4 and the 10, the decad, and 40, in part association with the esoteric or symbolic mystical interpretation of the Bible. And they build on this strong foundation of the fourfold decade, the all-encompassing decade in the 4 directions. Their leader, Magister Kelpius, who lived to 1708, we'll see a very early artwork of him on the right here. There's what's known as the Cave of Kelpius. It's still in Fairmount Park, and this is how it looked in 1894. I know many of you have gone and descended into it to meditate and sense the vibrations there from those who have meditated before, such as Magister Kelpius. We're very fortunate that Magister Kelpius or Master Kelpius has left a book on meditation, on ceaseless prayer for us that he did in this cave that's associated with the work of these Rosicrucians and the Tabernacle in the wilderness. Here's a depiction of how it looks more close to contemporary period today that many of you have descended into and visited and had a very uplifting experience. You notice on the right here, there's a great plaque that I'll show you shortly. But here are some of the relics of the German pietists, the mystical texts of Jacob Boehme and others that were passed down through the family of Julius Sach, that they then was able to pass on in the increasingly active period that we're in now of the Rosicrucians in North America and now worldwide. This is some more evidence of example of these early workers on the Wissahickon and their knowledge of mystical laws and principles of alchemy and Rosicrucianism. Here, beside that cave, or what's symbolically referred to as the cave, the Rosicrucian Order Supreme Grand Lodge in 1961 had placed the local Rosicrucians a great inscription of the work of these early Rosicrucians and honoring them, associated as well with the historic sign that you can see of the Kelpius community. And this is part of the great work of the Rosicrucians on this continent that continues today, that help with the formation of the new nation of the Republic, following past Imperator Bacon's The New Atlantis. Now, as our final temple before we finish up, let us consider the Sharon Temple that is in Sharon, Ontario, north of Newmarket, north of Toronto, Canada. To understand this story, it's good to know traditional Rosicrucian Jacob Boehme in the upper left that did studies with the Rosicrucians and then went to develop his own system, but always honoring the Rosicrucian laws and principles that he learned. Through his teachings were passed on to many, including the bottom here, George Fox, that helped form Quakerism and the dwelling on the inner light. Many of the Rosicrucian traditions were then passed through to George Fox implicitly that way and through their studies of other Rosicrucians' teachings. They also inspired on the right David Wilson, who's a person from Dutchess County, New York, in the 19th century, and later Sharon, Ontario. He was a Quaker. He was inspired by the divine teachings that came through George Fox and then implicit the Rosicrucian laws and principles. I can mention that this is the view of the Sharon Temple. And it's often a surprise to a person at first. We see beside it the main leader of the Children of Peace that used this temple for as part of their worship, David Wilson. He lived from 1778 to 1866. He was trained as a carpenter. He was an author, a hymnist, and a mystic, as I mentioned earlier, from Dutchess County, New York. This temple was built between 1825 to 1831 through a mystical vision that David Wilson had. It was originally in a place called Hope, it was later called Sharon, and you note the symbolic names pertaining to the Christian Bible. It is now a National Historic Site in Canada that you can visit, and it's operated as an historic site and museum by the Sharon Temple Museum Society. Now, its builder or master builder with the leader, David Wilson, was Ebenezer Doane, a master builder and carpenter, who was also a Quaker. And he immigrated from Bucks County, Pennsylvania, which I know some of you know. The Children of Peace practiced what they preached, so to speak. They were progressive workers in democracy, in cooperative economy, charity, and social justice, an important part of how democracy came to Canada in the earlier British Empire. They had a strong awareness of conscience, including social conscience. Their spiritual understanding was extensively applied. Now you may wonder, well, where did this structure come through? Well, it came inwardly from the divine through David Wilson. He relates to us and he describes the process some. But as we know, when we emulate the cosmic, we work with signs and symbols that the outer mind has simulated already. In this case, a group that are Quakers that have originally, they've broken off from the Quakers because they want to emphasize music and certain other features, but they have a strong Quaker background through George Fox, its founder. They know the Bible well, so structures in the Bible, such as the Temple of the Solomon, the Heavenly Jerusalem, Ezekiel's visions of the temple, are all important images that they would draw on. Indeed, this square structure you see here, the base square, and then the middle square, and then the upper square, reminds one of Ezekiel's vision of the temple with its squares within squares. Indeed, it's striking that Juan Baptista Villapando, who's a Jesuit and a Spaniard who lived from 1552 to 1608, widely disseminated with his writings and documents and texts on recreating in a book form or a manuscript form Ezekiel's vision, both in plan and elevation. And that made its way, inspired various builders, and made its way into early 19th century Bibles that would have been familiar to the Children of Peace, most likely, and had some depictions that remind one a fair amount of the structure of the Sharon Temple that you see before you. Here's a depiction inside the Sharon Temple. This is Jacob's ladder, which have the profound symbolism in the Old Testament. As we attune with the cosmic, we rise up and ascend and descend, just like when we did our meditation here. It's a very steep climb. It's a master work inside of carpentry, both inside and out. It's not normally accessible to the public, but on special circumstances, I was able to ascend up into it in the upper chamber. And it was a very inspiring and one that I'll never forget for my entire incarnation. You'll notice close on here that there's among that mid square where you see the Jacob's ladder ascending, we see this wonderful, almost like a symphony of arches that have been done through the master builder's work. And we zoom in closer on it. We find at the center, the most inward square, which is what's referred to as the altar and tabernacle. You notice in a way it looks like a mini temple, a microcosm of the mesocosm of the temple, which is then the mesocosm of the temple matching the macrocosm of the cosmos. These are principles they're working with. Inside it is the Bible laid open at a particular symbolic place to do with peace on earth. It's striking that that in the 1990s, there was found a hidden compartment in this altar, and there was approximately 1,700 pages of writing of the children of peace, outlining their philosophy, their trials and struggles, and their inspiration. You'll notice on the pillars supported there are symbols and plaques for faith, hope, and charity and love that are supporting this great temple and inspired structure. If you look up close from the temple, you'll see the different levels as we rise up to the very top of the temple. Here inside the temple, there was a great emphasis on music, the part of the reason that they had to split from the Quakers, the Children of Peace. Richard Coates was the bandmaster and painter, and he led their music to great effect. Musicians, when they come to play today inside this museum structure of the temple, they're struck and will often remark how wonderful, and they'll even say how perfect the acoustics are. It's a renowned place for continuing concerts and singing today. We see an organ that was part of their music from the 19th century on the left, but also strikingly, you see a player organ with its drum to play pieces of music. Also inside the temple, there's inspiring paintings, again, by the bandmaster Richard Coates, who was also a painter. Here on the left, he depicts one that was high up over one of the entrances in the four directions, because it was said that people would come from the four directions to this temple on an equal footing in peace. Here we see a symbolic depiction of peace with the children of peace being held and the banner of peace. On the right, we see the children of peace, and there's the dove descending, bringing inspiration and teachings and the description of peace as the children of peace again. As we go higher up in the exterior of the temple to the second level and the upper level, not normally accessible, but on a special occasion, I'll get up there, and it was something I'll never forget, to be able to go up this high up into this temple. If you go higher and higher up, I'll show you another picture. You'll notice the golden ball at the top there. This picture was recently taken for you for this presentation. And there you'll see the great golden ball of peace. It's reconstructed from the earlier one. Inscribed on it was peace to the world. And this is part of the inspiring message of the children of peace, that we can all live in peace if we go deeply within ourselves and contact this deep, still voice, or the deep silence and will indwelling within us, that the Quakers and George Fox learned from the Rosicrucian teachers and Jacob Boehme. Here you'll see depicted the study of David Wilson, where he composed his hymns and wrote his teachings. They did not have a priest like the Quakers, but he was their leader, and he encouraged others in the laws and principles of mysticism. But you see, like the altar in the center of the temple, the study mirrors the structure in many ways of the temple. The temple was just used about once a month for special services. They had a larger meeting house that also had similar type structures of the semicircular arches and pillars that you see like here, but on a much larger scale. One of the most special things that happens at the Sharon Temple is the illumination. Here, this picture was taken earlier this month for you to get a sense of what the illumination is. The illumination is held each September. And it was a time for celebration and recognition of inner illumination, but thanksgiving for our spirituality and teachings and sharing with others. And the children of peace were very strong on sharing their harvest with others and sharing their goods with others. And all were to come on the four directions. When the temple's illuminated at night with these beeswax candles that are placed in the temple windows and also up above in the upper levels and the lanterns there, it's an unforgettable experience. Here's some pictures of some earlier illuminations I wanted to show you. And so you'll see the illumination. We emulate the cosmic. We've had that cosmic experience like David Wilson, to emulate it, to show it, to try to help others to experience, such as having this manifested temple and illuminating it so others can be drawn deep within themselves and be inspired by this. This is part of the deep meaning of temples. And I'll have some concluding remarks now, but at this point I'll ask Karen that she can paste the resources into the chat and also upload the resources for you in a PDF. So you see, we've gone over the awe-inspiring concept of the temple through 3 examples here in Turtle Island or North America. And the way that this awe-inspiring concept is interlinked from our body to the built form to the cosmos itself. And that we are workers within the holy temple through the divine within us, our true nature. And workers in the divine laboratory, the cosmos, which is our birthright. We've applied various Rosicrucian laws and principles in our presentation and our meditation to enliven these keys of self-mastery in our daily lives. Thank you very much.